Good afternoon.
Hi, everybody. Hope we're all well. That very jazzy soundtrack again there. I'm starting to really like that.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Retained Recruiter Show. My name is James.
My name's Jo. Thank you for joining us again for week. What is this now? I think I've genuinely lost count.
Gazillion. Actually, Jo, it's really interesting you say what week is it, because I just wanted to sort of let people know, because we've actually built up quite a nice little following. I'm getting lots of nice messages on LinkedIn, and I think today is actually week 23. But actually,
goodness gracious,
week 23, or let's call it episode 23. And I just want to tell people episode 24 will be in 2 weeks' time, because what we're going to be doing over the summer with people going on holidays, we're just going to be coordinating this once every couple of weeks. So if you tune in next week and we're not here, that's why. But so we won't be promoting it, so hopefully people won't dial in next week. But we're just going to be running it over the summer months in the UK. We're just going to be running it every fortnight probably, and we'll go back to weekly later in the year when we get to the other side of August probably. So it's going to do that. But Jo, what have we got in store today? I'm quite excited about today's one.
Yes, I am as well. So we're going to talk about how to maximise your most placeable candidates.
And we all love acronyms. So MPCs, most placeable candidates. It's a term that's widely used. You may use something else yourself. Candidate marketing, speculative marketing, CV sending, or terms along those type of lines. But it's a really interesting topic at this moment, because obviously the emphasis seems to be on, hey, the market seems to be candidate led. Now, I mean, candidate marketing, MPCs, it's been around, and will continue to be around for a long time. But I think the market is evolving, and we want to sort of share with you some of the developments and enhancements that we're seeing today. But how should we kick this off, Jo? What should we kick off on this one?
I think one of the things that we should say is that most recruiters are doing it. Most recruiters are marketing candidates. I also think that we should start by saying that not all recruiters are doing it as effectively as they could do. Here at iIntro, we like to talk about 21st century recruitment, and that most recruiters are stuck in the 20th century. And I genuinely, for the vast majority of recruitment businesses, I do think that applies when it comes to marketing candidates. Marketing candidates is a very binary experience, I think, in recruitment. You find a good candidate and you market them out to a couple of companies. How you do that, so the methods you use, the messages you're putting across, the moments that you're doing it in, and also how you're maximizing your what is essentially a very minimal candidate pool right now. I think there's an awful lot more to MPCing than we give it credit for.
Yeah. I was with one of our clients last week out in Bulgaria, actually. And it's interesting there, because this was a lot of the conversation that we were talking about. And we're showing a new feature in the platform that she'll happily share with anybody should they want to sort of have a consultation with us. We'll tell you how you can book that later on. But actually, one of the phrases we want to use, it's from the 20th century. There are things we can learn from it. So it's all about evolution. And Jo, when I say this, I'm going to say something to you, and I want your first reaction that you think everybody else was saying. So I'm going to say to you, Jerry Maguire. When I say Jerry Maguire, what do most people think of?
Show me the money.
Show me the money. But I don't want to talk about that particular part of the film. And it is actually a film I really genuinely do love. But Jerry Maguire is a talent agent. That's what he is. And his role is to promote his candidate, who's called Rob Tidwell, and get him into a job effectively. What he's going to do is go and find the next football team for him. And what Jerry Maguire is doing is he's not just a talent agent. He's the talent manager for the candidate. Now, I know a lot of the time we're focused on how do we get jobs on and how do we complete campaigns or vacancies or assignments that people are working on. But as a talent manager, it's about positioning yourself as the career manager for your candidates. Now, not all of them. We're going to talk about, because, the talent managers work with the best ones, the ones who are going to make them the most money, so maybe we will come back to show me the money. But the reality is we've got to start thinking, what can I do to promote my candidate? And Jerry went to extraordinary lengths to get Rob Tidwell placed. Yeah, he did extraordinary things to do that. Now, we're not going to go down the route. This isn't a Hollywood movie that we're talking about here, but there is a principle here which says, with your best candidates, and that's why they're called MPCs, most placeable candidates, you've got to think about how you can help them develop their career over a number of years. I think it's about positioning yourself as saying, here, I'm here to help your career. Because I know one of your thoughts, Jo, is, who pays the bills? Or who makes the money?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I was talking to a consultant the other week, and we were running a coaching session. And he's a very successful biller, really successful, ran a desk for a number of years, and we're looking at ways to maximize his desk essentially. So one of the questions that I said to him is, how many candidates do you normally put forward for an opportunity, and how many of them get the actual job? So his ratio is about 2.5 to 1. So for 2.5 candidates he puts forward, in total, one of them will get the job. I said, okay. So, well, what happens to the other 1.5 then? He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, only one of the people can get a job. What do you do with the other candidates? Do you recycle them? And even with his experience, it just wasn't something that he was naturally thinking of doing. And I think that brings up your point, James, that actually, do we represent the clients sometimes more than the candidates? So if you've currently got candidates in play, in process with some of your clients, how many other opportunities have you also marketed those candidates to? So I have a client who calls it, center 1, center 5. So it's about not just, I've got these vacancies, how many candidates can I get for it? But what is exactly what you said, James, actually working on behalf of your candidates and saying, look, I know we've put you forward for this opportunity, but this is about not just that opportunity. It's about me enabling you to get your next career move. Having a discussion with that candidate, finding out all their achievements and benefits, the best possible way to present them to clients, and then working with that client to draw up a list, working with that candidate, to draw up a list of all the companies that that you could introduce them to, but also the companies that candidate might want to be introduced to as well. And then what you're doing, James, aren't you, is you're starting to not recycle, that sounds like it devalues the process really, but you're maximizing your chances of placing your most placeable candidates. And I think that's just one way in which we can maybe think more laterally about marketing candidates.
Yeah, I think my point is, it's if without the candidates we can't make money. Obviously, if we do running retained assignments, people say, well, you can, but that's a slightly different topic.
Well, you still need a candidate, don't you? You still, the job doesn't fill itself. You still need a candidate. No, absolutely. I think the client pays the invoice, but your candidates pay your bills.
Well, that's what I wanted from you, Joe. That was the lead I was giving it to you.
Long story long.
I failed on my little segue there to get you to say that. But I got you there in the end.
I diversified badly.
I don't think we haven't actually prepared this. We did, honest. Anyway, so yeah, from that side of things, it is really good. But and I think, Joe, when we look about maximizing what you do, it's about not leaving money on the table. Yeah. Because whether you're a contingent recruiter or a retained recruiter or looking to transition between one or the other, and that's obviously things that we can help you with. The point is, there are downtimes. Now, most people see candidate marketing, NPC. Well, they don't. It's more candidate marketing than NPCs, and we want to focus a little bit on NPCs, and we'll talk about the process for managing that. It's to sort of maximize your effort, because it's not just about business development to try and tease in another vacancy. That's a byproduct. It is genuinely to help the best candidates get into, and you look after them for a number of years, because candidates will typically change roles every 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how long they're there. Hopefully it's not less than that, and therefore that's this positioning that we want to do, that we want to sort of help them take those next steps. So that's where we want to engage them over the next 5, 10 years and work with them for that length of time, so they know to turn to us. And one of the big reasons is that candidates are just clients in disguise. So no matter what level you're working at, the careers of your candidates that normally have an upwards trajectory, and if they have an upward trajectory and you are their career manager, then they're going to turn to you when they're looking to build their teams as well. So, it's we're being altruistic here in terms of helping them, because we're doing it for free. But actually, there are some other side benefits that we'll get from that if we actually develop this relationship in the right way. So I think it's important that we actually push that one out to people as well.
Absolutely. So talking about most placeable candidates, what kind of candidates are we talking about? You can't market everybody out, nor should you. Making sure that the candidates that you're working with are committed to you, committed to the process, working with you exclusively. We sometimes call them ACE candidates, so achievements led. Candidates who have lots of achievements, who are going to stand out from the crowd, who are going to make clients money, who are going to be attractive to a client. That's your A. Your C is committed, so committed to you in the process. E is exclusively working with you. There's no point doing this on their behalf if they're also doing it with 15 other agencies. So part of that, James, is about it's about explaining the value of your process to your candidates, so that they want to work with you. So they want to work with you, and they want to work with you exclusively. Now, you can only really do that if you are going to take them to market, and you are going to maximize their chances of finding the right opportunity. So it's really important, isn't it, James?
Yeah, I think that on the exclusivity, Joe, I think I just want to sort of push that one a little bit further, because it's not just about being exclusive from other agencies, because that, and we have to be honest here, they're going to be, potentially, if they're out there in the market, they're going to get approached, because a lot of people are being approached at the moment, of course. So you can't do that, but they do need to sort of, bat people away. But more so than that, you don't want to work with candidates for an NPC program where the candidate is desperate to move, because they've gone too far down the cycle of wanting to change job. Because inevitably, remember, you've got your day job as well, which are filling the vacancies that you're working on, as well as promoting this candidate in the right way. So you need to have candidates who, and this is where I'm talking about career management, you're mapping when they want to move. So for example, if I look at an NPC candidate now, I'm saying, when do you want your next career move? When would you like to? When would be your ideal starting time? And I'm looking now at people saying, well, probably the start of 2023. In that type of time period. If I have somebody who says I want to change job by September, now I'm not saying you can't push them out in a different type of approach, but they're not your NPCs. They're your most available candidates. Maybe they're the match. And that's a slightly different story. But here we've got, if we're going to put this together in a professional way and represent this person and make them feel special because they're NPCs, then we need to plan it. And it's the planning with them. And that, as you touched on earlier, Joe, what you've got to do is map out with them, where do you want me? Where would you like to be your next career move? To which companies? And send them away to think about. And I used to say to people, listen, let's target 50 companies. I'll come up with 25, you come up with 25, or as many as you can, and we'll then review that list together and see how realistic it is. So, in terms of then putting that together, getting the candidate to come back to you, that's part of your commitment in terms of ACE. To come back to you, this is who I'm working for. And then you're saying, these are the companies I'm thinking as well. What do you think of these? And saying, right, okay, well, that's your target list. I'm going to market you. Now, it's not going to be just a blast. I'm going to send out 50 emails as fast as I can. I'm going to go about this, depending on the seniority of the candidate, of course. And I'm going to go about promoting you into those prospects or clients. And try and represent you in a way which can get you an interview to see whether that's going to be your next career step. And the commitment, I think, goes two ways, Joe. So for me, it's about giving the candidate commitment. I'm going to take this on. And so now I need to explain to you the way I work. I'm not asking you for any money, but I'm asking you for your commitment, because I will only make money if I place you. My chances of placing you, it's not 100%. So I'm actually working on probably a balanced probability here that says I may not make anything at all, but I'm happy to do that for you because you're such a special candidate, and you can give them some plaudits and everything goes from that. So from that side of things, it's about getting that commitment that comes back. Whether you're going to write it in a contract or not, you need to think about that. But you are doing this for free. And I always say to them, so let's agree a time frame for me to get hold of these 50 companies, be it a month or a little bit longer, depending on how it's going to be. And I will update you on a weekly basis. So we'll have a weekly call, and I'll update you how I'm doing, whether I'm making any progress, whether I've got you any meetings or not. And at the end of the agreed time period, we'll review. And at the end of that review, if I can't get through to some companies, because there are going to be some companies who won't deal with me or deal with you, and it might say, listen, Bill, Jane, whatever your name happens to be, you may want to approach them direct, because I can't get you in. They are very anti-agency. They only work through XYZ company, and we're not going to get through. So I may as well give you that one back for you to approach directly. So this communication is what keeps the quality angle going. So I think sort of having a process that they can clearly see. And again, it's not a desperation one, because they're not looking to move that quickly. It's about finding the right move rather than a move. And that's what I'm saying. You've just got to carefully choose your candidates on that one. So it's a really important part. Now, one of the things I just want to say, whilst we're here in this call is, if people want some help on sort of changing the way they do things, we have a roadmap to help recruitment firms maximize their most placeable candidates. So go to www.retainedroadmap.com. I always get trouble with www. Retainedroadmap.com is probably the way most people will be able to find that one. And you have a free download there to help you sort of make that transition. And we'll give you a link later on to say, if you want to get in touch with us, how you can do that. So, Joe, that's my views on commitment. I think it's really a critical part of the process in this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a mutual contract. If you're not going to get an actual physical contract signed, then, what you just said, that mutual set of expectations and agreements of what you're both going to do, you're starting to build a psychological contract with that candidate anyway. Some recruiters work like this all the time. They work very candidate centric. They don't have jobs. They have really great people who they take to market. So we know that this might be familiar to some of you anyway, but for others it will be a very different way of working. If you are normally very vacancy led, then this is something that you'd be doing outside of that. As we said before, think about some of the candidates you're working with now, or the candidates that you've worked with previously, in the very, in the past, and who could you maybe start this process with. I think what you said, James, there about process is really important. You never really underestimate how little candidates know about the process. Same as clients, unless you tell them, they don't really know what we do for a living. So it's very important that we're transparent when it comes to this process. Now, part of that process, once we've gone through establishing that they are a great candidate, they're committed and they're exclusive, and they're up for working with us in this process. Another part of that, after you've researched the clients, of course, is then being able to take this candidate to those clients. And again, we want to differentiate ourselves in the way that we do this. Traditionally, how is this done normally? It's normally done, is it even anymore marketing the candidate, selling the candidate in over the phone with the client, or even attaching a CV to an email. The email's maybe got a few, snazzy bullet points on about the candidate, but it's quite a two-dimensional way of trying to present a three-dimensional person to a business. So we want to now talk you through, I suppose, some of the things that we're doing here at iIntro, but also just in general, other ways that you can help to differentiate your candidates when you're taking them to market, James.
Yeah, I think, in terms of talking differentiation, again, I'm just going to go back to Jerry Maguire for a moment. Think about, he didn't just, phone people up. I don't think a lot of the phoning up goes on anymore, Joe. I think it is all electronic mail.
Yeah,
in terms of that side of things. But go back to that Jerry Maguire, how did he present the candidate? Well, he packaged him. Yeah, he packaged him in terms of pitching him in. So that's a question of getting his best video shots for when he's sort of throwing the ball or whatever he's doing. There's all of those elements that are bringing it together. So here we are now in the world of recruitment. If you're just sending a CV anonymized and you've blanked this bit out and you've blanked that bit out and you've written a nice little bullet point and you've anonymized it, you don't say he, she, or they. You just have a phrase, and you try and make sure you don't give away who they might work for, because we're afraid of backdooring by the clients. But so I think here we sit today, we've got to say, well, what are the tools that are available to us? And one of the things we've been doing, working very hard at iIntro, is developing something which will effectively work on this side of the market, because we're known for helping recruitment business owners transition their business. But part of that transition is to generate cash, and generating awareness of the service proposition that you do can actually differentiate you in the market. So the value proposition that you need to put together is something quite critical. So we've developed something called talent alerts. And talent alerts are a way of actually utilizing our technology stack, our platform, and taking candidates to market in a multidimensional way. This isn't just about sending a CV. It's about giving a client, or a prospect, I should say, the ability to make a better, actually a more informed, not just hiring decision, but more informed interviewing decision, because people get their time wasted so much with, when candidates are sold as the next best thing since sliced bread. So we like to give clients a more rounded view of the candidate. So that will include things like behavioral analysis. It will include video analysis or a video showcase of the candidate. And we engage the candidate on this to participate, so they can see how we're representing them, not just pushing out a CV, but actually representing that. Now, obviously, there is a part of this is we've got to be careful who we share the information to or where we share it to. So we've actually also developed a little bit of artificial intelligence to hide, if you like, or anonymize or pixelate the imagery that we send out, but putting it in a way which looks a little bit slicker than just sending out an email which may get lost. And that information we're able to share with the client is a tease, because that's what we've got. We've got to tease them in. So from that side of things, teasing them in to say, right, tell me more. And the inevitability is here. Your primary focus when you work with NPCs is to get them a meeting. Your secondary focus, if that's not the right candidate because they may be too senior or not senior enough, it's highlighting there's an opportunity. Now, you might be a little bit late to the party, and whether you can actually convert them to a retained assignment, maybe a challenge that we can talk about on another call. But it certainly says that, the client is willing. But what you're doing with the service, and as I say, you might find your own way to do some of the things that we're saying without iIntro, but please do get in touch with us, talk to us about these talent alerts. It's a specific feature, a specific module we can make available to people. What it means is the client is actually seeing how you're different. not you just saying we're different. Again, it's part of the differentiation of what we do to help recruitment firms position themselves in the marketplace in a very different way. And that's really, really quite important as we go forward, isn't it, Jo?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to stand out, you've got to be different. If you're going to be different, you've got to do something that none or not many of your competitors are doing. And I absolutely agree with you. The most common way, really, I think, of marketing candidates in is by email. And if you are doing it, with a few bullet points and a CV, it is quite two-dimensional. It's a bit like trying to, sell a car to someone by giving them the user manual. There's lots of words, not much benefit. And I know Finn, our head of marketing, I know that he's on here as well. And I know there's a great marketing term, which is you want to sell the sizzle, not just the sausage. So and CVs kind of do that. And so what we're saying here is you've got to differentiate your candidates. I love the idea of packaging. That immediately makes me think of bread. I don't know why. But I know when we do the training, we talk a lot about value proposition and differentiation. Yeah. We talk a lot about, making sure that you're packaging what you're doing in a way that clients can clearly see that you're different. But that comes to your candidates as well. I mean, we talk about most placeable candidates, and we're going to, send them out to all of our target companies. But actually, you'd want to do the same thing when you're presenting existing candidates to existing clients as well, wouldn't you? I don't think we should limit ourselves to only doing this with target companies. I think this is something that we should be doing with our existing clients. I was running a training session just earlier this afternoon, actually, and we were talking about this. We were talking about marketing candidates, and that actually when it comes to sending candidates to our own clients, we sometimes maybe fall short. And we don't present those candidates in the best possible light. So the talent alerts we've got at iIntro are great, because that means you can get your candidates out to market at the click of about 3 buttons. Very 21st century, very revolutionary. But actually, the same thing applies if you use our platform, for example, when you're actually sending your existing candidates to your existing clients. So I think thinking about the way that you present your candidates, are you presenting it in a way that's making it easy for the client to say yes? And that comes from benefits, doesn't it? Not just how you present the candidate, but how you really emphasize the benefit of that candidate to the client, James.
Yeah, well, it goes back to your ACE acronym, Jo, in terms of achievement led, because people are looking for what's the impact of somebody if they come in, how quickly can they hit the ground running, make that difference in the organization. And it is about that. I quite like the point you said there, Jo, about how we all probably almost become blasé with our existing clients and don't give them enough care and attention. And one of those phrases we sometimes talk about, and I think it's a Zig Ziglar phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what we're showing these candidates in this process as well. We're showing them the quality of our process, because even if we don't place them, they'll know we're good guys. We did our best to look after them, and sometimes just another opportunity pops up, and they land on their feet. But they do remember it. And again, Paul Hickey, who's been a guest speaker on this show, he sort of shared with me one of the experiences he had, which was a candidate that he didn't place. He tried to place him, didn't place him, landed a job via Corn Ferry in the Netherlands, and came back to Paul in little old Leeds. And gave Paul effectively a couple £100,000 worth of business to help him build a team. Now, those are the things that we talk about. And if you want to sort of talk with us, please do just get in touch with us. You can make a call with one of our team at retainedcall.com. So if you want to know a bit more about talent alerts, just get in touch with us. We'll happily share those with you on those type of things. But these are the stories that we hear, and it's not just anecdotal; they're real stories. It's interesting seeing one of our other guests once, Darren Ledger. He was calling out somebody who'd made up some story on LinkedIn this week. And must have been pitching for a fight there, I think. But the reality is, we try and don't just make things up. We're sort of sharing real life experiences that we've had with our clients, which actually make a big difference. And NPCs working with candidates is a really valuable way. And as I say, taking candidates that maybe they were the silver medalist, not because they were a bad candidate, just because somebody who's better suited to that role, and saying, how can I work with you? So rather than going chasing a role, use it for some of that. I also know some people have actually sort of used this as a bit of a bedding in ground for some of their newer staff, because it helps get them more used to sort of speaking to candidates as well. So many ways you can use it, but it's all about maximizing your time to maximize your income, and finding ways to sort of fill in some of the downtime productively, which showcases the differentiation that you have against the competition, the quality angle of how you deliver and what you deliver, and makes you just stand out from the crowd. And again, makes it it's about enjoying your work as well, and just showing clients that we're all around good guys, really, and that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, I love what you said before about providing a good service. I was once told in recruitment, years and years ago when I first started, you will always make more money from the candidates that you don't place than the candidates that you do. The candidates that you place, you hope that you place them once, twice, 3 times for life. You want to look at the lifetime value of your candidates. That's something else that I think we really need to probably do a session on at some point, and also client lifetime value. So you want to place your candidates over the course of their career, but actually, sometimes you won't place someone, but the service you've provided to them, you've sold your service in real time. The service you've provided to them is enough that they will want to help you in return. They will recommend you to others. They may become a client themselves. Harvard Business Review say, if you provide a good service, 5% of your customer base will recommend you to someone. If you provide a good service and then you proactively ask for a referral, it increases to well over 75%. So providing a good service might feel a bit long-termist, but you do reap what you sow. So all of it, there's nothing worse than being a candidate in a process and not even receiving feedback when you haven't got a job, and then you get dropped by the recruiter. These candidates are still good candidates. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put them through the process. There's always a job for everybody. Your job is to find them their next job. And, think about the methods you're using, make them dynamic, make them stand out. Most recruiters are marketing candidates, but we're all doing it in a very similar way. So have a think about some of the ways you can do it in order to make it stand out from the crowd. And that's going to give you more return, and it's going to provide a better service to your candidates. 100%.
Absolutely. Well said there, Joe. I think some good messages. And listen, we hope that people can take a lot of the messages that we put into these calls and actually put them into action. But I say, if you do need help, please do get in touch with us. The topics we're going to be talking about going forward over the coming weeks, is we're going to be looking at some really hot topics out there, diversity and inclusion. We've got some really special guests coming up, so please do watch out for the emails. We'll showcase who we're going to be sort of having with us on the shows and sort of helping you through. But as we come towards the end of this particular call today, Joe, let's just sort of recap on some of the things that people can do to make a difference with the MPC. So, any tips that you can share with people, and obviously, if you want to download the roadmap, go to retainedroadmap.com and download that as well, of course, as you can see on screen.
Yes, good. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think my biggest tip is, think about how you can represent your candidates better in that market. Everybody's going to get a job. Make sure that you're the person who gets it for them. Have those proactive conversations, make a plan, and then take your candidates to market. It's a very candidate short market, so once you've got a good one, make sure you take them out to market, but make sure you do it in a way that stands out. I think mass mailing a CV of a candidate to 150 companies, it's not the most bespoke way, I think, that you could do it. So yes, we're saying be a bit more bespoke, take a bit more time and attention of what you're doing, but I'd rather something take twice as long but get twice as many results, because again, that's just good for your brand moving forwards.
I think, and I'm just going to sort of try and differentiate something between, mass candidate marketing, which happens, and I know people are going to continue to do it because they'll say it works, and of course it probably does to some extent. So that's mass candidate marketing. This is about MPCs, and this is about you identifying the top talent that you're aware of, that you want to invest some of your very precious time into promoting them. So when you've identified the candidate, make sure you're clear on what your process is. Talk them through it, because as Joe said earlier, most of the time they don't know what we do. They just think you fling a CV out and make a few quid, and they probably think that we're overcharging as well. And as we haven't spoken about terms, because you've got to make sure your clients are aware of those. But first thing first is to make sure the candidate is aware of the process, the work and the effort that you're going to put in, what you want back from that candidate to make sure that you're getting that two-way commitment, to make sure you should sort of share with them that when I push this out, we want you to be positioned in the best light. So it's going to be very difficult for somebody, if they've got an opportunity, to say, no, I don't want to see this, or for us to spark a thought process. I wonder if I got somebody like that, because of all the list of achievements you spoke about, Joe. I wonder if I got somebody like that. What would they do in my business? And once you've got that all encapsulated, ready to go, don't rush it, get it ready, and then think about your go-to-market strategy, how you're doing it, who you're going to do it to, when you're going to do it, what your reporting back is. Remember, that commitment is two-way between you and the candidate as well. That's what makes them feel special. And I say, Joe, even if we don't place them, they'll remember us as the good guys. So remember that acronym, ACE: achievements, commitment, and exclusivity. That exclusivity is gained by you forming some type of contract, either written or verbal, but make sure you do know it's there, because that candidate needs to know that you're not getting paid for this unless you're successful. So the last thing you want to do is waste your time on somebody who's yanking your chain and actually not really sort of looking after you. So listen, I hope it's been helpful today. As I say, it's a really interesting and hot topic out there at the moment. I say look out for the emails, which are going to show more about what we're doing. We'll keep you informed of those. If you do want to get in touch with us, go to retainedcall.com and book some time with us. You can also find out more about what we call talent alerts, but our way of differentiating how you can go to market. So, Joe, thanks so much for your time today. Great as always. Anything to say apart from goodbye?
No. Yes. Goodbye, everybody. Good luck.
We'll see you in a fortnight. We'll see you in a fortnight. So it's goodbye from me.
Fortnight, a week off, and it's goodbye from me. Take care, everyone.
Thanks very much, everybody. Nice to see you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.